If I waited a week to review this, it's because I kind of wanted to see the aftermath of everything that went down on this show because there is a lot that went down on this show. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to another edition of WrestleMania Review Series. This time we are looking at WrestleMania 41. And the reason why I waited so long is, like I mentioned, is that there was a lot that went down in the past week. And there was a lot of things that I'm like, okay, maybe if I see where they were going with things, maybe I can sort of forgive some stuff. And there's some stuff that I will not forgive of this show. But as far as a WrestleMania, this one was good, not great. I think what hurts it is that they lost a lot of people that should have been on the show. There are some people who flat out do not deserve to be on the show, if I'm being quite honest. And for the most part, it was really all about whether or not the main event delivered. Because for the most part, it was a solid wrestling show. But for WrestleMania, the only thing that really felt WrestleMania esque were the first and last match of each show. Everything else in between was like good to meh to bad. So let's just talk about it. Starting off the night, we had Jelly Roll sing America the Beautiful. It's very fitting that of all people, Jelly Roll was eventually going to sing America the Beautiful at a WrestleMania. He did it for SummerSlam last year, so why not have it here again? And for our first opening match, we had Gunther defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Jey Uso. Now, a lot of people have complaints that Jey Uso is maybe not the best wrestler. I will say this feud was not that good until the very end when Gunther just demolished Jimmy Uso, making Jay get more of an edge. Because in this match, Jey Uso tried some new moves. He did power bombs. He did a submission hold, which ended the match. He tried some other stuff. It wasn't just super kick, frog splashes, and Gunther wasn't just chops. He kind of moved around, and this was a solid match. Whether or not it deserved to be for the World Championship, that's up to you to decide, but I enjoyed it for the most part. I am a massive Jey Uso fan, and I do like Gunther, but even I was ready for Gunther to be done with the world title. I don't know what is about Gunther, but it's like I can't imagine him being without a championship, but at the same time, you get tired of him as champion, if I'm making sense. I think he worked way much better as a mid card champion than he did as a world champion. And I think it's because all of your top guys were busy with other stuff. And that kind of hurt Gunther's title run. But I hope they don't do the same thing with Jey Uso. First of all, I don't think Jey Uso should hold that belt for a long time. I think he should lose it either at Backlash or Money in the Bank or even SummerSlam. But he does not need to hold it for that many months. I think a solid little run should be decent. But this was a good feel good moment. I love the Usos reuniting at the end of the match. Whether or not you like the whole Jey Uso making Gunther tap out was up to you. There was a cool spot where, well, it wasn't a cool spot, but it was a nice spot where you show the characters where Gunther looks like he's running away. Jey Uso's gonna dive. The ref moves out of the way. Gunther knew that, so he takes advantage and knocks out Jey Uso with the belt. Shockingly, none of these matches had blood. I feel like some matches should have had blood, given certain storylines and how things went down. But anyways, whether I wasn't high on Gunther tapping out to Jey Uso, it kind of just meant nothing. I think he should have made him pass out. Gunther's not a guy that I would see tapping out to Jey Uso of all people, but regardless, I was still happy with the result and I was happy with the match. It was an okay match, not a great match. War Raiders defending the World Tag Team Championships against the New Day. Now, I think New Day getting a WrestleMania victory, this new iteration of the New Day, did deserve to win the tag team gold at WrestleMania, but this match was unworthy of WrestleMania. If they had at least like a tournament or at least showcase the New Day be booked better. They kept losing up to this point. It was just like I didn't care about this match, and neither did the crowd. The War Raiders were just bland. Hopefully, now that the New Day are champions, they can revitalize these tag team belts because they are deserving of it. I still believe that we should have had only one set of tag team belts. Imagine we had the Street Profits versus the New Day. The Street Profits have already proved that they are way more deserving of being in the card after that classic triple threat TLC match with DIY and the Motor City Machine Guns. This match, I mean, like I said, I'm happy that Woods and Kofi got the victory, but not very happy with this being on the card. Jade Cargill versus Naomi. Now, can we admit this was one of the better storylines? Naomi revitalizing her character, proceed with caution. The theme song was not great, but her character change was way much better, and I hope that she does amazing things. Zelina Vega is currently the women's US champion. She's probably gonna lose it to Naomi, and Naomi's gonna be the one that's gonna have that dominant reign, which I'm excited for. And as for Jade Cargill, well, we've been waiting for her to finally have that singles run that we've been anticipating for a long time. So hopefully this is gonna be the start to that. But for the most part, this match, while not the greatest, it was good for what it needed to be. And I can't really get mad at it. No one expected this to be like a 20-minute classic. No one walked in expecting that. But for what it was, I can't get mad. LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu for the United States Championship. You know what I mean? Man, when I tell you that these guys killed it, they killed it. Now, it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't a great match, but it was a really good match for what it was. LA Knight being a dominant champion. I wish that, honestly, that LA Knight had been a top champion from the get-go and then work his way to here. Like, imagine if LA Knight has been undefeated up to this point and then Jacob Fatu be undefeated up to this point. It kind of got toned down with Shinsuke Nakamura winning the belt, only for him to lose it back to LA Knight, which meant nothing. I don't know what was the point of Shinsuke winning if this was gonna lead to this, but regardless of that nonsense, this was good. I really enjoyed the match. Jacob Fatu showed us that he is basically what Solo Sikoa was supposed to be. Solo Sikoa should just stick to being a manager and just will forget that he ever was on top. Let's just admit that Solo Sikoa was just lame. He's For those of you who complain that Jey Uso can't wrestle, Solo Sikoa can't wrestle. So I'm just saying. And Jacob Fatu got a standing ovation. We had Haku come out and congratulate him after the match. There's this really solid reversal where like Jacob Fatu does like a moonsault and LNI reverses it into a DDT. It was a nice one. But for the most part, it was just a very fun match, and I was happy that Jacob Fatu won the U.S. belt, and I hope that this leads into a lengthy run with him as the U.S. champion. Let's give him a run. Let's give him a proper run. He deserves it. We all can agree to that. Now, on to the most random put together match that kind of worked. El Grande Americano versus Rey Fenix. Now, it was supposed to be Rey Mysterio, but then he got injured on SmackDown, so they had to do a last-minute replacement and add Rey Fenix, which honestly was a more interesting match because Rey Mysterio, who I love to death, he's my hometown hero. He is not the same Rey Mysterio that we know and love today. First of all, El Grande Americano's entrance was pretty top-notch with a bunch of mariachis. With El Grande Americano mask playing him off. That was really cool. I loved it. And then the lighting was cool. I know being at WrestleMania Live at 39, we didn't get to see how the camera work was going to look like until we watched the replay. Like, example, I didn't know that Becky, Lita, and Trish came out looking like Sin City. Here, the camera work was really cool for El Grande Americano's entrance, so I was really happy with that. This whole story of Chad Gable wanting to take out all the luchadors and then him pretending that he doesn't know who El Grande Americano is, even though we all know it's Chad Gable. It's great. Even the commentary was like, oh, Chad Gable, watch out. And then they have to like stop and like, oh, wait, that's not Chad Gable. What are we talking about? It does take you away from it, but There was some good spots here. It really was a luchador style match. I love that Chad Gable was willing to learn some new lucha moves to change up his style, which made it more like, oh, can Chad Gable really do that? Is that really Chad Gable? Because his wrestling style is different. He does like a reverse 450 frog splash, or it was a really cool move where he does like a reverse frog splash. It was really dope. But of course, El Grande Americano cheats to beat Ray Phoenix, who I'm not that mad about. I think it was nice for what it was trying to do. And then we actually had a tease of Vikingo being there because, as we all know, AAA and WWE have collabed. They joined forces, so we're gonna get a Worlds Collide with AAA, NXT, and then we got Money in the Bank that same day. So that's gonna be a hell of a weekend. I cannot wait for that weekend to kick off my summer. On to what probably was the biggest disappointment of the night: Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair for the Women's WWE Championship. I would have preferred if we got Charlotte versus Nia Jax. Charlotte wins and then Tiffany cashes in, and then we build up Tiffany Stratton from there. But we got Tiffany versus Charlotte, and the match was, it was good. It was all right. And I think we all expected them to have better chemistry. Here was the biggest problem with this match, and I think we can all agree, is that the storyline was crap. You weren't invested because Charlotte kept trying to bury Tiffany Stratton, but then the fans weren't gonna let her, so then they booed her like crazy, and Charlotte couldn't recuperate from it. Honest to God, I hate Charlotte. She is a horrible human being. She just looks horrible. Oh, for 3 in marriages. I mean, that promo was just cringe from Tiffany Stratton. She is at fault too, so she's not all to be innocent from. But the biggest thing that I think hurts this match is that Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair are both good heels. And because of that, their best in-ring work is them as heels. So you have two heels wrestling a similar style, and it just doesn't work. Tiffany, while over, first of all, the Barbie entrance was gorgeous. Tiffany Stratton is fine. And then Charlotte Flair just has a generic Ric Flair ripoff entrance. Anyways, the match itself just got hurt because there was just so much other stuff that was exciting leading up to this. And like I said, the chemistry just wasn't there. And I hope that if they do have another match, we do get the classic that we all dreamed and loved today. I think it was just too soon to give us Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. I think we can all agree on that. And this, the fact that Nia Jax was nowhere to be found on this is kind of disrespectful, given that she did so much great work. Her and Bayley. But we'll get to Bayley when we get to night 2. Anyways, fine match, but it could have been way much better. By the end of this match, it looked like Tiffany got her ass kicked. Really, she got a broken tooth. Her face was bruised up here. It just looked bad for her. But I hope that Tiffany does recuperate from this, because I think we need a break from her having big matches like this. I mean, it's time to give other women a shot before she ever has a marquee match like this. WWE Hall of Fame class of 2025, and I have my opinions on this. First of all, never do a Hall of Fame at 10 o'clock at night. No one's going to watch it. I ended up watching the Hall of Fame like the morning of WrestleMania when this came out. But anyways, in the Legacy Hall of Fame, we had Kamala, Dory Funk Sr., and Ivan Koloff, who deserve to be in the actual class. I don't know why they're in the Legacy one. I mean, they've put people who are alive and dead on the Legacy. I feel like the Legacy should go to like non-WWE people, or at least WWF people. Like Ivan Koloff, I could see it, but yeah, Dory Funk Sr. deserved to be there. Kamala deserved to be there, but like I said, it's a really awkward class to look at when you look at the Legacy Award. Immortal Moment, we finally got a match on the card for the Hall of Fame class. Bret Hart versus Stone Cold for WrestleMania 13, which was very random. But Bret Hart is officially a 3-time Hall of Famer. How many people could say that? The Natural Disasters, which is possibly the only one I was truly happy about. Lex Luger, Michelle McCool, and Triple H. I know all deserving Hall of Famers, but for me, my favorite one was the Natural Disasters. I think after rewatching all of these Hall of Fames, I was very pleased with the work that Earthquake and Typhoon did. Typhoon, the Shockmaster, who would have thought he'd ever make it to the Hall of Fame, but he did it. Triple threat main event between Seth Rollins, CM Punk, and Roman Reigns. I thought the entrances were top notch. Um, Seth Rollins coming out with a flamethrower, burn it down. Roman Reigns with pictures of his family was awesome. And then CM Punk is returned to this Fire Burns, pivoting into Cult of Personality with Living Color actually performing. This match was great. The story was amazing. This was the most anticipated match of the entire weekend. It was just top notch action. Wasn't the match of the night. For me, it was the women's world title match, which we'll get to in night two. But I really enjoyed this match. This was a really fun back and forth with all three men. They all fight in the crowd. They teased the Shield. There was rumors that Moxley was gonna be there, but he's the AEW World Champion. Tony Khan would never do that. Um, there was a lot of cool moments, but just the pure hatred of these guys was awesome. Like they didn't even do team up moves. Like they never like align themselves. Like Seth and Roman, they did do the tease, but they didn't align themselves. Seth Rollins being thrown through an announce table and then CM Punk to another. This was just back and forth, nonstop action. It was just awesome. And CM Punk finally got his main event. But did he win? Well, let's talk about it. CM Punk had Paul Heyman on his corner. That was his favor. Roman Reigns beats the crap out of Paul Heyman. Well, he didn't beat the crap out of him. He just pushed him, which upset Paul Heyman in the long run. Seth Rollins was pretty much the odd one out, which basically made me believe that he was going to win. The question is how? Well, Paul Heyman low blows CM Punk when he gives him a chair. Roman Reigns laughs it off. He's about to do that move of hitting Seth Rollins with a chair. Paul Heyman low blows Roman Reigns. Seth Rollins picks up the chair that is given to him by Paul Heyman, and Seth Rollins is the winner of the night one main event, and this was just awesome. Seth Rollins with Paul Heyman, that is just going to be something different, something unique, and a well turn for the better, because I think it's time for Paul Heyman to move away from the tribal chief and the best in the world and move on to the visionary. I love this match. I love this feud. Definitely the best told story of WrestleMania, but not the match of the night. Again, we'll get to the women in the opening of night two, but this was a great way to end the show. The mid card for night one was take it or leave it, but really the only thing that you should care about when it comes to WrestleMania night one, at this show at least, is this main event. It is awesome. Just go out of your way and watch it if you haven't. Ava Max did America the Beautiful. I thought she did a better job than Jelly Roll. I like Jelly Roll, but not a big fan of him doing America the Beautiful. He didn't do a bad job, but I thought Ava Max just did way much better. That's my personal opinion. What else is my personal opinion is that this first match was the best match of the entire weekend. Io Sky, Bianca Belair, and Rhea Ripley. Triple threat Women's World Championship match. This was just awesome. The story was solid with Io always having the upper hand against Rhea. Rhea can never beat Io. Bianca Belair is undefeated at WrestleMania. Io Sky still feels like the underdog because Rhea is the top face of the women's division on Raw, Bianca being the top women in SmackDown. So Io Sky was kind of the underdog, even though she was the world champion. They all had a purpose to why they needed to win, and it was just brilliantly worked. These are the modern four horsewomen, even though it's just three of them. I don't know who the fourth one would be that fits in this category. Maybe Tiffany Stratton, maybe Roxanne Perez. Maybe someone I can't think of. Raquel Rodriguez, they tried with her. Remember that time where Rhea, Bianca, and Raquel had the belts? It really should have been Io, Bianca, and Rhea as the three girls that they focus on, because this match proved otherwise, that these girls are the best of the best. in the modern women's division. And the fact that Io pinned Bianca just told you that they are gonna finally skyrocket Io to the moon. She finally got her moment at WrestleMania, something that I thought we would never get, because Bianca was just pushed to death. We thought she was gonna turn heel and win the Women's World Championship here. Rhea Ripley is probably the one that wasn't gonna win, but she needed to be a part of this match. It was just a well built um, match as far as in ring work goes. The story of how they got there was clunky, but we got there regardless, and I was very happy with this match. It was, to me, the best match of the night. Too bad that the rest of the show was, well, it was good, but whatever followed this match was in big trouble. For the second year in the row, the second match of that night would be Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest, because technically last year, Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre was the second match of WrestleMania Sunday. So WrestleMania Sunday and WrestleMania 41, it's going to be Drew and Damian Priest again, but this time in a Sin City street fight. And this was basically their way of saying Drew McIntyre is going to take a break from fighting the Bloodline. So they just got to give him somebody who also did him wrong, and that person being Damian Priest, the guy who cashed in on him, the guy who took advantage in Scotland when CM Punk attacked him during the world title match, the guy who eliminated him from the Royal Rumble, the guy who eliminated him at the Elimination Chamber. The feud was solid. That build up with them beating the crap out of each other backstage, Damian Priest chokeslamming Drew McIntyre to the car was badass. This match was bad. This match was not that good. It was actually kind of boring, if I'm being honest. And it was just basically their way of just saying, like, all right, we're going to put him on the card, but we kind of wish that they did something else. And you can tell just based on the vibe. The fact that they had a better match in Scotland just shows you. I thought that match was better than this one. And I just didn't really like this match. It was just like, for a street fight, you would have thought they would have done better. The Finn Balor street fight was better with him and Priest. This one was just more of like, let's just give Drew McIntyre a WrestleMania victory and let's move on. I feel like that's what they do with Drew McIntyre when they don't have something major for him at WrestleMania. They just give him whoever and they try to make lemons into lemonade. Okay match, but yeah, I really didn't care about it. I didn't like it. Braun Breaker defends the Intercontinental Championship against Dominic Mysterio, Finn Balor, and Penta. And this match was really good. For only 10 minutes, they did a banger of a job. Carlito's involvement was unnecessary, but he finally got a WrestleMania moment, getting speared through the announce table, which, looking back at the announce tables, they look weird. Anyways, the spots were there. It was just more of like, will Dominic and Finn turn on each other? Really, it was going to be one of those two winning. Penta was just there to showcase who he is. Braun Breaker was going to move on to an amazing faction with Seth Rollins, and hopefully they add more people into that faction, but I'm liking what they're going to do with Braun Breaker, so it was time for him to lose this belt and move on to bigger and better things, so can't really get mad about that. And Dominic Mysterio got a baby face pop. He was the most over guy in this entire match. Even in interviews, he's like, I'm so used to them booing me. I'm not used to them cheering me. Dirty, dirty Dom. Yeah, I think it's time to turn Dominic Mysterio into a baby face. The question is, is it going to work when they try to make Finn Balor a baby face? I heard that they might pivot and just make him the heel instead. Which, rightfully so, because Dominic Mysterio was the MVP of this entire match. Even from the entrance with the Rey Mysterio Senior mask was awesome. Freaking Finn Balor looking like a banana was stupid. But anyways, I'm excited for what the future brings for the Intercontinental Championship. I'm very excited, and this was a really good match. What was supposed to be Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens had to change because Kevin Owens got legitimately injured. So much so that there's rumors that Kevin Owens may not even make it to WrestleMania 42, which is very heartbreaking in the long run. Hopefully Kevin Owens makes it on time. Hopefully he wins the Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia and they completely 180 us, and who knows, but hopefully Kevin Owens can return. A neck injury like that means there's a possible chance that he could retire. Hopefully that's not the case, knock on wood. But what did this mean for Randy Orton? Well, he RKO'd Nick Aldis after being angry at him. I'm like, okay, maybe we get him and Nick Aldis. Nick Aldis comes back from retirement. But nope. Then I'm like, okay, what about Rusev? It would be great because it would be on Rusev Day. Aleister Black was already rumored for SmackDown after WrestleMania, so it was just like, who is he going to fight? And sure enough, the biggest curveball nobody predicted, Joe Hendry was gonna come out, and then they were gonna do Joe Hendry versus Randy Orton, TNA World Champion. I'm like, is Joe Hendry gonna win? Because are they willing to make the TNA World Champion look bad at WrestleMania? Well, he didn't look bad, but he did lose under 3 minutes. After the match, Joe Hendry got a standing ovation. Randy Orton celebrates with him, RKOs him one more time, and then he poses. Awesome moment. Really, it was all about moments, and which was very necessary. The only other moment that we got at WrestleMania here was Stone Cold almost running over a fan. Thank goodness that didn't really happen. But anyways, I was very satisfied with what they did with Randy Orton for his 20th WrestleMania. Can't really get mad. But honestly, after Randy Orton and Joe Hendry, we could just call it quits because the rest of the show was awful. We get to one of the most underwhelming matches of all time. It wasn't a bad match, but it just didn't live up to the hype. Logan Paul versus AJ Styles. You can tell that Logan Paul just doesn't care anymore. He's already busy. He's already a father. He's doing other things. There's rumors that he might fight Mike Tyson in a boxing match. So there was a lot of other things that Logan Paul cares about. Wrestling is like the least of his worries, but because they're sponsored by Prime, they need to have him there. AJ Styles, they did him dirty here. I kind of wish that we did get Karrion Kross versus AJ Styles and Karrion Kross gets a singles victory because Karrion Kross was really the only one carrying this match because at the end of the match, a freaking Logan's assistant comes out. Karrion Kross steals the brass knuckles, gives them to AJ Styles. AJ pushes him. Logan takes advantage, and he finally gets a singles victory at WrestleMania. Whoop-de-doo, but what does that lead us to? Just another generic moment and match for Logan Paul. The fact that The Miz had a better match with Logan Paul says a lot. This match was not that good. The only thing memorable was Logan Paul messing around with his drone, whatever it's called. I didn't care about this. Logan Paul doesn't care anymore. He really only cares if he wins a world title, which I hope they never give to him. But the rumor is that that's where they're going with this. So pray that does not happen. This match, yeah, I didn't care about this match. They didn't even care. I forgot this match was even announced. Judgment Days, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez were supposed to fight Lyra Valkyria and Bayley, but then Bayley got taken out, so that basically meant that somebody, I wonder who, was gonna take over and replace Bayley, and sure enough, it was Becky Lynch, which was no surprise there. The second Becky Lynch appeared, I'm like, Lyra and Becky are gonna win. Becky's gonna steal the spotlight from Lyra, and then probably have a decent run with them. But no, they ended up losing him the next night on Raw. Becky turns heel, and it looks like we're getting Lyra and Becky at Backlash, hopefully. But I didn't care about this match. Nobody did. Not even the girls involved. It basically showed us that the women's tag team belts meant nothing. Hopefully Liv and Raquel being the champions yet again, they do something with it. But I could not care about this run. I really don't care. So hopefully they prove us wrong and they do some great things. But right now, not that impressed. This match was not that good. Cool for Lyra, but really it was just Becky's moment. Becky Hogan, as people may call her. Did you guys see that press conference with her daughter? Like, even the crowd, like, of people that were there, like, her daughter kept interfering during the questions. She's just like, hello, everybody. And everybody's just like, hello. I did feel bad for the kid, but, you know, welcome to show business, girl. Let's finally talk about the main event. Cody Rhodes versus John Cena for the undisputed WWE Championship. And in this match, first of all, the belt was pretty good with John Cena turning heel, his last WrestleMania ever. Will he win 17th? Well, he did. The question was how. For starters, they actually cheered John Cena and they booed Cody Rhodes, which was expected because this was John Cena's last WrestleMania. The promo after on Raw was awesome. Go out of your way and watch it. It was really good. But this match was really bad. The fact that Cody Rhodes was playing like an underdog was stupid. If the whole concept was that John Cena can't wrestle and he was gonna ruin wrestling, wouldn't it make more sense for Cody to try to carry John Cena into a good match where John Cena is forced to have a good match? I'm just saying, like, come on, let's just think about that. And then the one thing that people can all admit is that this match was not that good. It was really boring, just wrestles from John Cena. John Cena getting the upper hand, even though Cody has been carrying that belt all year long. The ending, oh my god, this was so bad. Travis Scott comes out, distracts Cody Rhodes, which leads to nothing. Cody Rhodes gives Travis Scott the crossroads. They go back and forth with whether or not they're going to hit each other with the belt. Cody Rhodes is about to hit John Cena with the belt, but then he refuses, which was stupid. Only for John Cena to take advantage, knocks out Cody Rhodes with the belt. Pins him. The referee is nowhere to be found. 1, 2, 3. So that is how John Cena wins the 17th World Championship. No Rock, because The Rock didn't want the story to go that way. It was going to be too distracting, but the biggest distraction of this entire match was that The Rock was nowhere to be found. He should have just come forward and say, like, hey, I'm shooting Moana, I'm busy. But no, they just couldn't do it. And yeah, this was just bad to the bone, and it just left a sour taste in your mouth. So night 2 had a good undercard, and then the main event of night 1 was good. The mid card was take it or leave it, but for the most part, I just don't see myself really going back and rewatching this WrestleMania because of how disappointing it was with certain aspects of it. Granted, the Raws and SmackDowns were way much better, and hopefully we can move on from this. But there was just a lot that could have been done different. Logan should have not been at WrestleMania. He could have hosted WrestleMania, but him wrestling here, I don't know. It just took away from everything. I wish that we had gotten Cody and John Cena better. Maybe The Rock shouldn't have been involved from the get-go. Just because TKO requested him for Elimination Chamber because the ticket sales were bad. Again, some decent matches here and there, but nothing to run home about except the 2 triple threat matches that stole the show. Seth, Punk, and Roman was awesome. Io, Bianca, and Rhea was just as great or even better for my personal take. But I don't see myself going back and rewatching this outside of those 2 matches. So with that, I can't believe I'm saying this, but their show gets a C plus. A lot of solid stuff, but nothing to run home about. C plus is a decent rating. I hope the rest of the year looks better for WWE, but this was not it for me. Again, some cool moments. Like I said, didn't really feel like a WrestleMania. It just felt like another PLE out there. But hopefully things get better for 2025. Anyways, that's it for my reviews of WrestleMania. Go back and rewatch all of the other ones that I reviewed. I had so much fun doing those. And hopefully this is not the last time you see me on YouTube, Catanation Studios. Anyways, take care, everybody.